on this computer. So the first thing I want to point out to you guys is your midterm. There is a change of time in your midterm. It's not going to be on next Tuesday and Wednesday. So your midterm is going to be on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know if you guys got my email or not. So your midterm exam is going to be changed or postponed to Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Which is this coming, not tomorrow, but the following, the coming up Thursday, Wednesday. I believe is the, let me see what Wednesday of that will be the 9th. So you'll be on September the 9th. And then, so those who are on the first, the A to K or something else like that, make sure you take your test on Wednesday at 9:30 to 11. It's still on the same place in CLA. And then those who are on the second part will be on Thursday at 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. on September the 10th. So make sure you guys know that it's a change on your midterm here. So if you cannot able to show come to this midterm, please let me know as soon as possible. Because this is very important because your midterm is like 30%, right? So let me share this information again with you guys so you guys know what's going on here. So your midterm is at 30%. So again, it's a change of time here. So this is the one I'm talking about. So we're still gonna meet at CLA 144. If you start with your last name is A to K, it's September 9 on Wednesday instead of September 8 on Tuesday. And then on L to Z, September 10th on Thursday, 9:30 to 11. Again, the same classroom, CLA 144. And for those students who just haven't been into the college yet, your entrance is at CBT main entrance at door 13. So CLA entrance is closed, so you cannot go in there. You have to go in through CBT main entrance. And you need to bring along your student ID. And also now this pretty new to me, is you also need to sign in. Okay, you need to do what they call it as a self-assess. So this is very important. So this is like this is a college website. So right over here they have a self-assessment which you have to require to fill this in before you entry. So I will recommend you guys to fill this one out. So this is on the college website. Right on the top right corner here, this is a self-assessment. So just fill this self-assessment for this what you guys do, and then before you come to the campus. So that's one thing that I really want you guys to do here, because otherwise you probably be late for your test. So try to do this at home on the day before the test. So make sure you self-assess, fill in the self-assess form on the top right corner here. Next thing I'm going to talk about here is your self-assess. So yep, self-assess, please do self-assess. Change of dates on your of your midterm. I think that's it. Yeah, if I forget something, I'll bring it up. So make sure that you guys do self-assess here, and if you have any questions, do let me know about it. So now we will talk about your homework. Let's take a look at your homework on P1. Anyone have any questions? Oh, now I remember. This is something I always like. I forgot, now I remember. So next Tuesday, we do not have any Zoom lesson. Let me repeat, next Tuesday, we do not have any Zoom. The reason why we don't have Zoom next Tuesday is because I have meetings, long meetings next Tuesday. So it's from like 9 a.m. to like 4 p.m. So I have no Zoom. So next Tuesday, there will be no Zoom meeting. So it's been canceled. However, if you need help, please set up a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me. Okay, so if you have any questions, set up one-on-one Zoom meeting with me. So I just want to point out to you that next Tuesday, there's no Zoom meeting. So because I have something going on, school stuff. So let's take a look at your P1 here. I got question 17. This is the one that a lot of students ask me to do. Anyone here has any questions for me on P1 beside question 17, which is a lot of you will ask. This is from P1. Okay. If you do, let me know. Victoria?
Yeah, I had a question on the word problems. It was
What?
27 and 32.
And this is all in P1?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll do 17. Yep, we'll do 17 and then we'll go to your 27, 32. So if you have any questions, this Zoom session is actually for questionings and help and anything. Bila, you can always add on to it. So I'm going to do question number 17 here. Okay. This question is asking us to figure out what happens with this inequality, this expression here. Okay. So so in this case, that first thing first is we had to figure out this number first. And how do we figure out this number, the one on the right hand side, all this greater than, equals, or less, equal to or less than? In order for you to figure out that number is based on your denominator. So what you do is you set your denominator equals to 0 and you solve for x. And in this case, x is 5. So this 5 is actually where you put in here. So all of them. So this is the first thing you do here is to set up this number first. So how do we figure out this number is you take your denominator equals to 0 and solve for x, and that's how you put the number here. And then our next thing is now we figure out these numbers, okay? So in order for us to figure out this number is you have to pick any number that is greater than 5 for the first case. So a number that is greater than 5, let's say is 6. I'm going to pick x in this case is 6 because 6 is greater than 5. So any number is greater than 5. So I pick 6 here. So what do I do is I plug 6 into my x here. So I will get an absolute value of 6 minus 5 over by 6 minus 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. And when you take an absolute value of 1, you will still get 1. And then 6 minus 5 is also 1. So 1 over 1 in this case is 1. Okay. And yes, this is true for any number that is above 5. So if you want to plug, if you don't want to use 6, but if you want to use like 10, which is 10 is also greater than 5. So when you put 10 over here and 10 over here, you figure out that you also will get 10 minus 5, which is 5. And absolute value of 5 is 5. And then 10 minus 5 in the denominator is also 5. So no matter what you plug in, you will always get 1 here. Okay, so that's the reason why that this answer will give us 1 if you use any number that is above 5. Now, what happens if you use exactly 5? This question says x is exactly 5 for the second one. So what do I do is I plug 5 into this x here. So I got 5 minus 5 in absolute value over by 5 minus 5. And what is 5 minus 5 is 0. And absolute value of 0 is 0. And then 5 minus 5 in the denominator is also 0. And this is something you guys need to learn or very pay attention is if you're dividing with 0, this is undefined. Okay, so let me repeat again. If your denominator is 0, it's undefined. So make sure you guys pay attention here. This is very important. So that's the reason why that for this x equals to 5, your answer is undefined. And you have to type this whole thing in capital. And they say in all, and this is all the undefined. So if you type this in the lowercase or your spelling is wrong, they will mark you wrong. Just want to point out to you guys what happens if you do something, if you type something wrong. And next, we're gonna use a number that is less than 5. So I'm gonna pick 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, any number that is less than 5 for the last case. So again, I will substitute all my x here to become 4 in this case. So absolute value of 4 minus 5 divided by 4 minus 5. Now 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So when you take an absolute value of it, it's 1. Don't forget, any absolute value, if it's a negative number, is automatically changed to become positive number. But your denominator, 4 minus 1, is negative 1. So this actually will give me negative 1. And again, no matter what number you plug into this x, if you don't want to use 4, you can use 2 as long as it's less than 5. You will notice that when you plug 2 in here, you will notice that this is 3 and this will be a negative 3. So no matter what number you plug in here, as long as it's less than 5, this number is always equal to negative 1. So for this case, this is equal to negative 1. So this is how we do this question number 17, how you figure out this number and how do we figure out this 1 and negative 1. And yes, it's always that case. Okay. So this is how we do question 17, and we're going to move on to number 27. Victoria has that question. So, and yeah, we are doing P1 first. So if you have any questions with any questions you have, just let me know. Okay. We are doing P1 first. So in order for us to do this, I need to look at the notes here. So let's take a look at my notes on P1 here. P1 notes. There you go. So the questions that Victoria is asking is based on what we call as your property. So these are the properties that we have: the commutative property of addition, multiplication, associative, distributive. These are all the properties here. So again, I won't come up this in your test, in your midterm test. So you do not need to worry about learning all these properties. Okay. In the test, it's very much straightforward type question. So you do not need to really worry about all these properties here. Let's take a look at this property that we have on question 27. So what they do here is you got 177 times 117, and then they change the parentheses. You see the parentheses go from 7 to 17. They just switch around. So if you switch your parentheses around, this is what we call as, and they are multiplying, this is what we call as the associative property of multiplication. Okay, so this is called the associative property of multiplication, because if you change your, if you still AB, but if you multiply AB first, it's the same thing as multiply BC first. So this is the meaning of associative. So when they change your parentheses around, this is the associative property of multiplication. We are not done yet because it does have another property here. And then if you look carefully, the next one they say is 1 over 7 times 7. This is equals to 1. You see this? They change this, become 1. So that is actually the same thing as what we call as a multiplicative inverse property. Is when you multiply a number by its inverse, 1 over it, you always get 1. So this next one from this parenthesis to 1 is what we call as the multiplicative inverse property. So it's this one. And then the next one they have is 1 times 17 is equals to 17. So this one is where you multiply it with 1. So this is where we do what we call as a multiplicative identity property, is where you take a number multiplied by 1, you get back the same thing. So in this case, it's 1 times this 17, you get back 17. So this is what we call as a multiplicative identity property. So this question has 3 properties here. The associative property of multiplication, the multiplicative inverse because of the 1, and then 1 times is identity. So this is how we figure this question number 27 in this case. Okay. So next we're going to talk about is 32. 32 is, if you look at question 32, this is again, we're using this property. 1 times 7 plus x, you get 7 plus x. So again, this is 1 times, which is the same thing as what we just did just now. You multiply by 1, you get back the same thing. So this is going to be the multiplicative identity property. So it's this one, and this one doesn't have multiple. This one only have one because it doesn't go equal to something else after that. So this is how we do question number 32. And I already told you guys, you do not need to worry about this kind of questions in your test because it's not going to come out in your test, in your midterm. So next week when you do the midterm, you do not need to worry about all this property because it's not coming up in your test. Okay. Anyone have any questions on P1 first before we move on to P2? 8B, Kara, 8B, right? Still in P1, trouble plotting, 8B.
Yeah, when I was doing 8B,
I
like you
have
have
a
to do
question.
the sketch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do 8B and then after that, Bilal will go with you, okay? So how do you sketch this one? I just want to point out to you guys is when you graph inequality stuff, if you use less than or greater than, we will use parentheses, okay? If you have a greater than or equals to with an equal sign, we will use brackets, okay? So for this question, when you have x is less than or equals to 4, so what is your number line will looks like? It will look like it must be at 4. And because there's an equal sign, we have to use brackets. And which brackets do we do? It depends on where it points. Since this is pointing to the left, your x is on the left side, it's pointing to the left. So it's gonna be pointing to your left and you draw an arrow like this. So this is your answer for this question 8B here. So how do you graph this? Is first thing is you pick a bracket, make sure it's a right bracket, and you pick it on 4. So you click on it on 4. So you get a 4. And then what you do is you click anywhere over here to draw an arrow. Where's my arrow, friends? There you go. So click on the end to draw an arrow. So this is how you draw this graph. X is less than or equals to 4 on this 2. So let me repeat again. Let me clear this follow-up. There's a way for it to clear it up. Let me repeat again. So there you go. Clear the whole thing. Yeah. So again, pick the bracket because that's an equal to and it's less than, so it's a right bracket. So you pick it right on the 4. And then after that, you click on this little arrow because it's go to the left and you will draw us an arrow and you're good to go. Okay, Kara, you okay with this one?
Yeah, maybe I'll show you later. Mine says something different.
Okay,
I'll just email you separately.
We do after class. What
Okay.
do you have? What is your question looks like? I do not know what your question, because it's my question.
I did that like the graphing, but it says my answer is incomplete. Like it won't accept it.
You do A and C, right? Okay.
I don't
Kara,
know.
why
Yeah.
don't you send this to me?
Okay.
You see, ask my teacher.
Yeah, I'll do
Send it
that.
to me, then I can see the whole thing.
Okay.
Yep. Go ahead and send it to me now if you have time, and I will look at it. And
Okay,
I
thanks.
know what's going on. All right, Bilal, what questions you have on P1 here?
That question number 30.
Number 30.
Yeah.
Again, I want to point out that my question is a little bit different from yours. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not everyone have different questions. So we're gonna do number 30 on P1 here. So 7x over 15 times 5 over 14. So this is fraction, and you are multiplying fractions, and you do not need to find LCD. So when you multiply or divide fractions, you do not need to find LCD. So we just need to reduce it. And how do we reduce it? We just reduce like cross like that. So we know 7 and 14 can be reduced by 7. So 7 divided by 7, you get 1. 14 reduced by 7, you get 2. So this is how we reduce a fraction here. 5 and 15 also can be reduced by 5. 5 can reduce by 5, you get 1. And then 15 reduced by 5, you get 3. And how do we multiply fraction is you multiply straight across. So what you do is you multiply them. 1x times 1 is 1x. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Now, as you guys remember, 1x, the 1, you can ignore it because when you have 1x, it's the same thing as x. So your answer in this case is x over 6. Okay, your answer is x over 6 here. So again, this x, if you look at this x, this is a lowercase x. So if you type a capital, excuse me, if you type in a capital X on this, you will get wrong. So what I'm talking about here is if you type in a capital X over 6, they will mark you wrong. And it's not because of you're doing it wrong, it's because this is small letter, you put a capital. So I just want to point out to you that when you guys do in your online homework, they're very picky.
Yeah, that happened to me. When I put X there, it's wrong. Yeah.
I just want to point out to you is starting from now onwards, even though you go to college algebra, if you're doing this online homework, the lowercase and the uppercase are 2 different things. It's like your password, right? If you put everything in your password, if you put everything in uppercase, they will say it's invalid because it's different from the lowercase. So make sure you guys know that this is what they will do is they want a lowercase in this case, except if they have an uppercase, then you use your uppercase. You guys doing okay here?
Yeah.
Bila, you have questions on P1?
No, I'm good.
Okay, anyone has any questions on P1 before we move on to P2? Justin, you guys good? Okay, so if you have questions, you can either ask me after this Zoom meeting or you can ask me set up one-on-one Zoom with you guys. And I'm gonna go with P2 now. Okay, I'm gonna do it P2. So P3 is tonight you got 3 sections, P1, P2, and P3. So anyone have any questions on P2? Yep.
Yeah, I have some question.
Yep.
I have a few questions.
Yeah, can you give me the numbers of it? What question is it? And again, Bila?
Just give me a minute.
Victoria, Kara, anyone, Jordan, Justine, anyone have questions on P2?
Can we do another example for another number 8?
Number 8, okay. An example of a number 8, okay, good. Good. Anyone? It's time to ask question because this is the time I helped you. Jordan, Justine, Boha, Prosa, anyone? Bila, you got your questions?
Yeah, number 13, 1, 3.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Yeah. 19.
19.
Number 19.
Okay.
And 20.
20. Okay. Hold
Yeah,
on to
20, 21, all the way to 25.
Okay. Well, I do not. Okay, Bila, I don't have time to go all of the day.
Yeah, just do one. Just do one. Just do one of them.
Please,
just get out.
if you have a chance to watch it here, please watch it. I would recommend that. I don't have time to do all. This is your homework. I don't have time to do all of them. So
just do
okay, wait. I'll help Victoria first, and then we'll go to yours. Victoria says, let's do a question on number 8 again, right? But a different question, right? That's what you're asking for, right? So we do an 8A, a different question, so you guys get to use what's going on here. So I'm going to change all this so it won't be the same as this one. So 7 times 4 to the power of 3 over by 14 times, let's do difficult. 14 to the let's do let me just, sorry, 14 to the power of -2 times 4 to the power of -5. So something like the first question. The second question is easy because anything to the power of 0 is 1. So this one, I think you guys know how to do it. The A is the difficult part. So what we're gonna do, like this kind of questions, like number 8A here is, again, oh, sorry. This is the same base. So if they are the same base, you can use the formula, you can subtract them. So you take 3 minus negative 5. Okay, so you can take the top one minus the lower one. So 3 minus negative 5, but we know this double negative become plus. So this is actually is 4 to the power of 8. Okay, which is 3 plus 5 is 8. So this will take care of the one in red. Okay, now we need to take care of the one in green. The reason why we need to take care of this is because it has a negative exponent. So when you have a negative exponent, you flip-flop the position. So if it's on the denominator, if it's negative exponents, you move it to the top. If it's on top, you move it to the bottom. So since this 4 neg is on the bottom, so we will move it to the top. So this will become 14 to the power of 2. Okay, so the negative 2 will become positive 2. So this question will came out to be 7. The 7 is still on top, nothing changed, times 14 to the power of 2. Again, this is times, not dot, not decimal. And then times 4 to the power of 8. So the 7 comes from here, this 7, no change. The 14 to the power of 2 came from the bottom one. And then the 4, 8 came from the same, you subtract these 2 out. So what you need to do now is you just need to use a calculator. This is going to be a big number here. So because I just figured out, I didn't. So 7 times 14 squared times 4 to the power. Some of you have the caret symbol. This is the power symbol. So this is the answer in this case. 89 million is a big number. Yes, this is a big number. 89,915 and something like that. Okay, so this is how we do this. Usually in the test is you just need to watch. This is something I just want to point out to you is make sure you know these are the same base. You can subtract this if I divide, and then make sure you know how to bring this up to your power. Okay, from negative to positive power. So these are the stuff that I will ask you mostly in the test. And again, I won't give you big number like this. Your number is much smaller in the test. Okay, you won't get 89 million like this. You probably will get like 89 or 8,900. 890. So it's not a big number. So if you get a big number like this, something is wrong. I will try my best. It's a lot of work. Okay. So this is an example of question 8. Next, we're going to talk about 13. So question 13 is given us by this example. So we're going to do both of this. Yes, these kind of questions on question 13, you will see it in your test. I'm sorry. Yes, someone say something. All right, so the first question we have is 9y to the negative 3 times 6y to the 5. This is a question of number 13a. So when you multiply what we call, this is a one term, monomial and monomial. This is, we don't FOI it. So if you say, oh, I'm going to FOI this, I'm going to distribute this, you don't. You just multiply it because it's all one term here. So how do we multiply this is for numbers, you multiply it. You multiply your numbers. So 9 times 6 is 54, right? So you multiply the numbers. And then for your exponents, because you are multiplying, we will add it. So what we have in this case is a negative 3 plus 5. So that will give me a positive 2, right? Y to the 2. And this will be your answer in this case. So this will be 50. This will be your answer for part A, 13A. Okay. And then we do 13B. You have z plus 4 to the negative 1 times with z plus 4 to the negative 2. This is the B part. So for this question, again, the good news is because they are multiplying and the base are exactly the same. Remember last time we have the y, the base is the same. So what do we do with the power is we add them, right? So this is the same type because your base is the same. So which is z plus 4 here. What you do with your exponents, you add them. So you got -1 plus -2. And we know -1 plus -2 is a -3. Okay, so so this is z plus 4 to the power of -3. Now a lot of students say, all right, this is it, like what we just did here, right? We can move on to the next question. But if you read the question, on question 13, they say they want your exponents to be positive. Do you see this? The exponents has to be positive. So this is the same thing, same kind of things I asked in the test, means that your exponents has to be positive. Unfortunately, this exponent is negative. This exponent is positive, that's why we are done. This exponent is negative. So remember what you do with the exponents rules, like last time when you have a negative. This is on top. So what you do here is we just check it on the bottom. So you will have 1 over z plus 4 to the power of 3. So your -3 will become +3. So this is your answer for question B, where you have to get rid of the negative exponents to become positive. So this is, again, something I will ask in your test in this case. So this is how we do question number 13. Next will be 19. Number 19. Number 19, the first one is easy, 19a, because if you have the 5th root and the power 5, they will cancel each other off. So your answer in this case is just 5. Okay, so the A part is easy because if you have the root and the power is exactly the same, you can cancel it out. Okay, but the B part, 32. Now, when you do the power 5th root, so when you guys do the 5th root, you need to give me all your perfect 5. What is mean by perfect 5 in this case means a number that is multiplied by itself 5 times. So like 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1, because you still get 1. What is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 to the power of 5? Anyone know what 2 to 5 is? That's your next number you have to go.
32.
32, yep, that's correct. So this is the number that you guys need to know for 5th root because they are power 5. And then 3 to the power of 5, and which is 3 times 3. You can use your calculator. 3 to the power of 5, this is a big number, 243. And so on, so on. So this is how we do this question because it's a power 5. And then for the variables, it's all multiples of 5 because if you have a 5th root, your power is all multiples of 5. So it'll be x5, x10, x15, x20, and so on. So all this number has to be multiples of 5. So this is what we call as a perfect 5. And once you look at this perfect 5, you can look at the question here, 32, which is this number. And x5, which is this one. So they are perfect 5, and 32 is a perfect 5th of 2 because you got 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times. So this is 2. And x5 is a perfect 5th for x. So this answer is just 2x. Okay, because 32 and is perfect 5th and x5 is a perfect 5th. Okay. Same thing happens like question number 20 here. This is a cube root. So when you do a cube root, you do the perfect cube now. So perfect cube is still 1 because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. What is 2 times 2 times 2 3 times? This is a perfect cube. What is 2 times 2 times 2 3 times? 2 times 2 is What's 2 times 2? The reason why is you need to build all this. Every time you see a different number in front here, like a 3 or a square, you have to use a different perfect. So this will be 8, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. What is 3 times 3 times 3? 3 times?
27.
27. And then you do the same thing. 4 times 4 times 4, 3 times. 4 to the power of 3, we call it. This is 64. And then this is just for numbers. And then for variables, like last time, this is all power 5, multiples of 5. So this one has to be all multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9, and so on. Okay, so these are all what we call as a perfect cube. So if you look at this question number 20 here, 16 is not a part of this number. Do you see that? Okay, 16 is not a part of this number, but we can use a number that over here that we can break down to 16. So in this case will be 8 times 2. Because 8 times 2 is 16. And the reason why we pick 8 here is because 8 is a perfect cube of 2. So when you do a cube root of 16, this is the same thing as 2 cube root of 2. So this is what you guys have to do when you guys have to simplify a radical expression, is you have to look at this number and look at this perfect cube and see what number beside 1 always go. What number here can goes into 16? The number here is 8. Okay, and then this is on top, and the denominator is 27. And the good news about 27 is already a perfect cube, so you do not need to do this breakdown. So a cube root of 27 in this case is 3. Okay, so this is your answer for question number 8. Okay, how do you put this into your answer here? Is first is a fraction. So make sure you put in on the corner here. You see there's a fraction. So put a fraction here. And I think this is 2, right? And then there is a cube root of 2. Where is your cube root symbol? Not this one. This is a square root symbol. So you have to go under function. See this is a nth root, so you click on it, and then this little top you put a 3, and then a 2, and then you go down and put a 3. So this is how you type in this answer, 2 cube root of 2 over 3 in your homework here. Okay, if you type it wrongly, they will mark you wrong. Okay. Same thing happens with a square root. So what we do here now is we do the perfect square. So I don't have room here, so I'm gonna get a new one. Is everyone doing okay here so far? You guys doing good? So for B, you need, because it's a square root, you need to do a perfect square. Perfect square is easy because it's a number multiplied by itself, like 1, 4, which is 2 times 2, 9, which is 3 times 3, 16, which is 4 times 4, and then for the power is all multiples of 2. Last time we do 5 and 3, now it's all 2, like x squared, x4, x6, and so on. So this is the perfect square. So what we do in the square root of 8, because 8 is not a part of these numbers. You don't see 8 over here. So you need to break it down. So can someone tell me which is of this number goes into 8?
4.
What number here goes into 8?
4.
4, yep, so we'll pick 4. So this is 4 times 2. And 4 is a perfect square of 2 because 2 times 2 is 4. So that will give me 2 root 2. This 2 will be outside and this 2 will stay inside. Okay, and then your denominator is a square root of 9. And the good thing is 9 is a perfect square. And 9 is a perfect square of what? You know, 9 is a perfect square of what times what is 9? 3, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So this will be your answer for question B. So again, how do you type this? It's a fraction. So first thing first is you have to give a fraction first. And then you type 2, and the square root is just right over here. So you use a square root of 2 and then 3. So this is how you do your homework for this kind of questions. Okay. So things will get tough, like this kind of question, like number 22. When you do question number 22, when you add or subtract, okay, when you add or subtract, they have to be exactly the same radicand. Radicand means the number inside the root has to be the same, but these two are not the same. So what do I do in this case is I have to break it down. And how do we break it down is what we just did, something like this. This is how we break it down, this. So 27. So what you do with 27 is you have to pick, because it's a perfect square. So what number here goes into 27 beside 1? Can 4 goes into 27? 9, 16. Which number here goes into 27?
9.
9. And 9 times 3 is 27. And 9 is the perfect square of 3. So what you need to do next is you have to take these two, because they're outside, and you have to multiply it. So you have to multiply 15 times 3. That is 45. So this is 45. And don't forget, you still have this inside the root. So it is the square root of 3. So this is how we do the first part, this one, the first term. Now you do on the second term. The second term is 8 square root of 12. And you do the same thing. The 12, you can break it down. So can someone tell me which one of these numbers can goes into 12?
3 and 4.
4. Yep. And 4 times 3 is 12, right?
Yeah.
And this 4 is a perfect square of 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. So what you do with these two numbers, like last time, we multiply them. Yep, we multiply it. So 8 times 2 becomes 16. And you still have a square root of 3 inside the root here. So now you find out that this one is having like radicand because they are exactly the same root 3. So you can actually subtract this, because the question asking us to minus. So how you minus it is like taking these two numbers, 45 and 16, and you minus it out. So where's 45 minus 16 here? Minus 16. It's 29. So this answer will be 29 square root of 3. Okay, so usually, yes, you will ask, these kind of questions will be asked in your test. So make sure you guys know how to do it. And in order for you to add or subtract radicands, make sure that this must be the same. We call it like radicand. Okay, and once you got them the same, you just take the number in front. Either you subtract or you add them based on the question. You guys doing all right here? Next, we have 24. So how do we rationalize the denominator? Rationalize the denominator means that you cannot have a square root in the denominator. So when you see me in your test, I say, I want you to rationalize this denominator. It means that you cannot have a square root inside there. So how do we rationalize it? If you have a square root, we just multiply by square root. They're exactly the same. Okay, so this is how we rationalize this. This two has to be exactly the same, because we are multiplying this with 1. So anything multiplied by 1, you get back the same thing. So that's why this root 3 over 3 is a 1. And how do I know which one to use? You figure out the denominator. If a denominator is a root 3, then we do root 3. If your denominator is root 5, then you do root 5. Okay, just figure out. So when you multiply root 3 with root 3, this is the same thing as a root 3 square, because when you multiply root 3 times root 3 is a root 3 square, and you figure out that the square and the square root will cancel. So this is just a 3. Okay. The numerator, 1 times root 3, you will get root 3. So this is what we call as rationalize your denominator, where your denominator here has no root anymore. Okay. So this is the meaning of rationalize the denominator. Is you cannot have root in here. So if you have a square root, it's very easy. This is number 24. But what happens when you have a cube root? Now, in order for you to get rid of the cube root, then you have to make this as a power 3. Because as you remember last time, if you make it as a power 2, the square and square root will cancel. If you make this as a power 3, then the cube and the cube root, the 3 and the 3 will cancel. So in order for us to do this, you have to multiply this with cube root of 5 squared. And same thing happens to this, cube root of 5 squared. The reason why we do this is because this is power 1 and this is power 2. So when you multiply this, this is a power 3. Okay, when you multiply this, 1 plus 2 is 3. And what happens when you take a cube root of it? The cube root and the cube will cancel out. So what you left is just a 5. Again, you don't have any root in here. So this is what happens when you have a cube root. If this is a power 1, you multiply with power 2. If this is a power 2, you multiply with power 1. Our main goal here is to make this as a power 3 so you can cancel. And then for this case, you just multiply this together. So you will get 125 cube root of 25 because 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25. And then we can reduce since 5 and 125 can be divided evenly. So 125 divided by 5 will give us 25. So this will cancel up to become 25. So your answer in this case will be 25 cube root of 25. And you cannot multiply these two out because of the cube root. And this is your final answer in this case. So for 24 and 25, this is square root, this is cube root. But when you look at 26, 26 is a little bit different. The reason why I say 26 is a little bit different here is because this one has 2 terms. Okay, so if you have 2 terms, or we call it binomial. Okay, so if you, last time this is only 1 term in the bottom, this one has 2 terms. So if you have 2 terms, then you have to multiply by its conjugate. What is a conjugate? A conjugate is exactly the same thing, but you change your sign. So this is a plus, so we'll do the minus. So this is the conjugate of it. So this is what you do when you have 2 terms. You have to multiply it by its conjugate. So what you do next is you have to FOIL this. Now the good thing about when you multiply by its conjugate, the foiling is very easy in the bottom. Because when you multiply this, your middle term will cancel. So when you multiply this, you just do the first and the last. That's what you do in the bottom part. You do not need to do the whole foiling because one is going to be the middle 2 will cancel out. This is the thing when you multiply by its conjugate, you figure out that your middle part is gone. So root 5 times root 5 is 5. Root 6 times root 6 is 6. And then with the negative sign. And this one, you can multiply inside, so it becomes 3 root 5 minus by 3 root 6. So I just distribute my 3 into here. And we know 5 minus 6 is a -1. And this -1, you can actually distribute back to your front, to the top. Because as you know that if you have 4 over -1, this is the same thing as -4, right? Because your negative goes up. So this is the same thing. If you have a -1, you can move up. So what you got is this 3 root 5 become negative. And this 3 root 6 become positive. because your negative will affect them. And this is your answer for question number 26. Okay, so this is the answer for question number 26. So the rest, I recommend you to watch it because there will be a video that you guys can see. And I think I also post some videos on your D2L, right? From my previous class. So I would recommend you to watch that too. So when you go to D2L, you will get some videos. I'll show it to you. So when you guys go to my
I have a question. Are you bringing this in the test?
What do you mean?
Yeah, square root. Are you bringing similar to the test?
They all will be in your midterm. Yeah. So so if you look at this in your D2L, this is the videos from my last summer classes with P2 and P3, and they are asked almost exactly the same questions. So I would recommend you, if you want, to go ahead and watch. This is almost an hour long, and I do not suggest you to watch the whole 1 hour. You just scroll. Okay, I think I know how to do this. Move on to the next question. Scroll down. You guys with me here? So you do not need to go and watch the whole hour because it will be a long one. So like this is still like this question, like Victoria just asked me this question early on, right? So you can, yeah, they all, guess what? They asked the same question. So I will recommend you to like scroll a little bit and see, and say, oh, you know what? I know how to do some question. So like, oh, I know, because this one actually I teach them. I actually teach them. I got time to teach them. So that's why you find out that these are all from your notes here. So I will recommend that if you need help, watch this. And you can always, like what I just did over here, scroll. Oh, I know how to do this. I just scroll over it. So you do not need to watch the whole hour-long Zoom meeting. So I will recommend you to, like, if you know how to do some work, just scroll it. Otherwise, if you are totally clueless, then I'll recommend you to go and watch the whole thing. Okay. So does anyone here has P3? Because the last section here is P3. Anyone have any homework on questions on P3?
Yes, I have it.
Okay, what questions you have?
So for number 1, I want to know how I can write down the AN up and down.
Very good. So yes, the first question, the degree in this case is N. Okay.
Yeah, and
the leading coefficient is AN. Yeah, this is the AN. This is called the subscript. So what you need to do is you type A first, and then you go to function. Do you see this little box here?
Oh yeah.
So that will give you AN like that.
Oh, okay.
You see that? You click under function and then this first box. So click A first and then N. The N will goes down.
Oh, okay.
And the constant term is A. This is called a constant term, A0. So you press A and then you go to function and then this one and 0.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are things you need to ask me. Yeah, I can show it to you. It's not that difficult. Anyone have any question beside number 1, how you enter this one in there? Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, number 9.
Number 9, okay. So this is mostly on foiling. So determine whether the expression is a polynomial or not. This is a polynomial, okay? So how do you know if you don't have a polynomial? A polynomial, if you don't have it, is your power is a fraction. So if you have a power that is a fraction, this is not a polynomial, okay? Another way you figure out that it's not a polynomial is your variable x is in your denominator. So once you get your variable in your denominator, this is not a polynomial. But why this is a polynomial? Because if you see this, there's only 2 in here. Okay, so if you only have a number 2, then it is a polynomial. Okay, and then the questions say write this in the standard form. So what do I do is I break these 2 up. So what do I do is instead of taking all these 2 all over by 2, I will split the 2 up like this. Okay, so the first one we have is x squared over 2 because this one we cannot reduce. This one, the 2 can be reduced, become x, and then this become 3/2. So this is what they call as the polynomial in standard form. So it's x squared over 2 minus x minus 3 half. Okay.
I have different question.
Like this one is not a polynomial. The reason why is because you have a negative here. So if you have a negative here, this is not a polynomial. Okay. So it's very easy to figure out this is a polynomial. This is not because of a negative 8. Okay. Yes. Is that Bohar? Okay, last, can you tell me which question you have?
Yeah, so number 9, no, I say I have different question. Mine is 9/9. So if I have the same number up and down, that is
You can cancel like this, yes. What question do you have on yours, Bohar?
yeah, I have the same question on number 9. So if I have like, okay, 2, 2, it's gonna be the same, or 9, 9, 8, 8. What if we get different number? Like let's say
If you cannot,
x squared plus 3x minus 3/2.
okay, very good. So if you get this, then nothing. So what your answer will be just x squared over 2 plus 3x/2 plus 3/2. Yep, that's it. This is your answer. So if you cannot reduce it, then this is your answer. If you can reduce it, and that will be your answer.
Okay.
Yep. Anyone have any questions beside number 9 here?
I have a general question.
Said, yes.
Yeah, so if you're writing a polynomial standard form, would you put the term with the highest degree first?
You are correct. When you ask for polynomial standard form, it has to be high degree to low degree. So this is the one. So if you switch this around, then it's no longer a standard form. A standard form is where you put the high to low degree. Yes.
All right.
Yep. You have to arrange. So if I give you 6x minus 5 plus 3x squared, this is not. It's a polynomial, but not in a standard form because this high degree is at the end. So for us to make it as a standard form, I have to move this 3x up front.
I think.
So this will be your polynomial in standard form. You need to know this. It's very important, especially when you move on to the next section. Anyone have any questions beside number 9 on your homework here?
How about 34?
34, okay. This one. All right. This question 34, you will see it again in college algebra. So what they do is they take out this this cardboard that is rectangular shape is 18 by 26 centimeter, and they cut off X box here, X centimeter box, square box on each side. And so what you get here is 18 minus 2x. The reason why you get 18 minus 2x is because the whole thing is 18, but you take away 2x. You see, this is 1 and this is 2. So that's why this is 18 minus 2x. Same thing over on the other side. This is 26 minus 2x is because you got 26, take away 2x on both sides. So when you fold this dotted line, you will get yourself this, what we call as a 3D, a rectangular box, like a shoebox. This is 26 minus 2x come from this length. The 18 minus 2x come from that length, and then x comes from the height, okay? So the question is asking us to find the volume. So the formula for the volume in this case is length times width times height. So this is a formula for volume, the length times width times height. So your length is 26 minus 2x, your width is 18 minus 2x, and your height is x. So what you do is you just multiply it. You just leave it like this, 26 minus 2x, parentheses, 18 minus 2x, parentheses, and x like this. You do not need to FOIL it out. But when you go to college algebra, you have to FOIL out. But for this class, you just leave it like this, okay? So this is the answer for question A. It's very straightforward type. Question B, you just substitute x equals to 1 on this. So what you do is you just take 26 minus 2 because x is 1. And then 18 minus 2 because x is 1, and then times with 1. And then you use your calculator. 26 minus 2 is 24, times with 16, then times 1. Then whatever answer you get here, you put in here. And then what you need to do next is you change your x to become 2. So now this will become 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. This will become 4, and then this will become 2. And then you just repeat again for 3. Okay. So this is how we do this question on 34. This is just a taste of college algebra. So when you go to college algebra, you will get this kind of questions. Okay. Anyone beside 34? Anyone have any questions for me before we? So do not forget that you do have a midterm next week. And don't forget, I changed the midterm a little bit. Wednesday for those last name end from A to K. Thursday for those who end L to Z. It's going to be in CIA 144 from 9:30 to 11. Your test is an hour and a half long. Some students ask, and it's 30%. Your midterm is a 30%. So if you miss this test, you're in big trouble. If you cannot come during this time, you have to email me because it's very important to email me. You can switch around. You can come on Thursday. You can come on Wednesday. You can, it's up to you. You can switch these 2 around. So make sure you guys come during those times. Some students ask me how do you study for this midterm. What do? Is you go to your ebook. Okay. Again, class, you need a textbook. You need an access code to go in here. I think you still have 1 more week left in your free trial, right? You got 1 more week free trial, and after that, they won't let you get in there. So if you're using the free trial, you got 1 more week left. So some students ask me, how do you study for my midterm? You just go to the ebook. If you have a textbook, you go to the very end of the chapter. But if you have the ebook like this one, it's the same thing. So what you do is you go to the P. Chapter P is where the midterm is. And then you go all the way down to a chapter test. Okay, chapter test. Same thing happens in your textbook. If you have the real textbook, you can go into chapter test. And this is the chapter test. This is what you will get in my midterm. Okay, so some students asking, how do I study for my midterm for next week? This is the one that I will tell you. And your midterm doesn't have 19, this is a lot of questions. Your midterm usually have like 14, 15 questions, for maybe 13 or 14, it's less. But you can tell, square root, they are in here. So I recommend you to practice this. And if you have the ebook, the answer is just right here. If you just click underneath it, you get yourself an answer. Okay, so I would really suggest you guys to study this using your ebook here. So if you have an ebook, your midterm under chapter test. Same thing happens to your finals because your finals is going to be chapter 1. So you go to the chapter 1 and then you just click on this, click on the chapter P on top here, exit up, and then you go chapter 1 and then you go into your chapter 1 test, which is so you go all the way down and then there is a chapter test here and click on it. And then that is how you study for your finals. Your finals will be very similar to this. And again, you don't have 23 questions. You only have like 14 or 13 questions. I'm not giving you a lot of questions in your test because you have 1 hour and 30 minutes to do it. So do time yourself when you guys do this midterm. You got 1.5 hours. But this one, you probably will have almost 2.5 because you got 23 questions. But make sure when you stop at question 14 and 15, this is where your 1.5 hours will stop. So time yourself, make sure how long it takes you to do your test.
So I have a question. Are we using calculator?
Yes.
On the test?
Yes, it's in the, I already told you in the first day of class, you can only allow to use a scientific calculators. You cannot use a graphing calculators, okay? You only use scientific calculators. And if you do not have a calculator, just come early. I recommend come early and ask me. I do have extra scientific calculators for you guys to rent, to borrow, okay? Anyone have any questions for me? Yep, your first test is going to be from P1 to P6, okay? So I would recommend P4, P5, P6. I will recommend you to go back to your to D2L. Like last time I showed it to you, that is where is that? Where's my D2L at? There you go. So I will recommend you. Go back to D2L for you guys. I will recommend you that this video will be uploaded in D2L. So some students, where is it at? Just click on here and then it's over here. So this is from the last week video. This is from P2, P3 from my previous summer class. I would recommend you guys to watch it. And then I will put P4, P5, P6 on here too, and today's video. And those students who wants to get my notes, you just go under content and go under instructor notes, and you will get my notes here. The one that I just, that one I show it to you. Okay. So if you need help, please go get my notes here. It's all there. All the instructor notes is there. So from P1 to P6. So you can read through it. Like if you have questions on P3, I would recommend you to take a look at that, like foiling and, like polynomial in standard form, like what we just talked about. So this is something that I would strongly, like the box that we just talked about is in here too, but it's different dimension, 10 and 12. So I would recommend you to do that. So yeah, I would recommend you do it. And if you have any questions, you need to send me an email. Okay. Anyone have any questions before we end this? I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to stop recording here.